Welcome into the On3 studios here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today's Sunday, August 4th, and we're back with another episode of the Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Josh Newberg. Now, today's show, we're talking Tennessee. They just landed the number one quarterback in the 26 class, USC, Auburn, and Oregon. It's been an eventful weekend, to say the least. Plus, we're going to cover some more. But before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed to the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. Go on, jump on board, hit subscribe for me, please. All right. Let's start with some of the big news from the weekend. We had a few major commitments go down that impacted the top 10. So let's take a look. Buckeyes still on top. Bama sitting at number 2. Then we got LSU, Georgia. Georgia landed a massive offensive lineman on Friday in Juan Gaston. Now, they don't move up, but they could be moving up soon. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Oregon, they land Trey McNutt. They're still sitting at 5. Auburn is in at 6, landing Jared Smith, a borderline the number 42 ranked player in the country. So just 10 spots out of that 5-star range. Then you got Clemson, Tennessee, FSU, Texas A&M rounding out the top 10. Notre Dame and Miami sitting at 11 and 12 trying to get in. Now, there's 5 teams that are basically hoarding all the 5 stars right now. And yeah, you guessed it. They're in the top 5. Ohio State has 3. Bama has 4. LSU has 3. Georgia has 3. Now, Oregon got their 3rd this weekend when Trey McNutt committed. But if we want to see what's going to happen moving forward, we got to look at what's still left on the board. And I think right now UGA is holding a pair of pocket aces here in Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry, who are both 5 stars, sitting at number 5 and number 7 overall, respectively. So 2 top 10 players in the country are leaning towards Georgia. And it seems to me, talking to the insiders like Steve Wiltfong and Chad Simmons, that it is just a matter of time, or, well, whenever they decide it's time. It seems like Georgia is in a great spot to land both of them. Imagine Georgia with 5 5-stars. So right now, as I said, everybody has 3 except for Bama. They have 4. Now, Oregon, they're going to have their shot at another 5-star. And Jonah Williams, he's set to make his announcement later this month. Will it be Texas? Will it be Oregon? Oklahoma in the mix? LSU as well? We'll see. So still, we got a couple more months to go, but you guys let me know, comment section below, what do you think, or who do you think will sign the most 5 stars by National Signing Day? Let me know, comment section below. Now, we got a big show today. Deuce Knight rumors are swirling the Notre Dame commitment. Is he going to flip? We're going to talk about it. Is USC on the brink of landing a key prospect? Tennessee, as I said, landed the number 1 quarterback in the 26 class. We're going to talk more about that, and we're also going to talk Oregon after landing Trey McNutt over the weekend. What's next for the Ducks? It's a big show. Let's get to it. What's going on with Julian Lewis? What is the quarterback going to do? We're nearing the end of summer, so I want to figure it out. That's what we're going to talk about in this video, and I got Scott Schrader here from WeAreSC to talk some Julian Lewis. Also, who could be the next recruit to commit to the USC Trojans? We're going to find out today. But before we get going, Trojan fans, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel, the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. All right, let's bring in Scott Schrader. Scott, what's up? How you feeling? We got to talk a little Julian Lewis because, he took his official visits in the summer. He told me back in the end of May that, hey, I'm going to make a final, come out and make a final decision sometime before my senior year. But throughout the month of July, Julian Lewis has been really, really quiet. Catch us up to speed on what you're hearing from your USC sources and what his commitment status is.
Yeah, USC has kind of felt like, they were in a good spot with him all along, but they also weren't naive in understanding that anything could happen. So they kind of have prepared themselves for a situation that could come up that they're not expecting. But just based off, I was just at Carrollton High School, and just the feeling I got is I'm not expecting any kind of announcement that, hi, I'm Julian Lewis, I'm going to shut down my recruitment and things are over with now. I did not sense that was something that is coming. Mm-hmm. I'm also not sensing that, that there's anything for USC to be concerned about at this point. Other than I do think, and this wouldn't be the only case, if USC doesn't play good football this year, I think they will have some problems down the road, and it won't just be, with Julian Lewis.
All right, so there's also some rumors swirling about USC and Cali quarterback Huson Longstreet. Now, we know there was some contact earlier in the spring, but Huson Longstreet committed to A&M. Is this tied to Julian Lewis? Are they just covering their butts? Like, what's going on with Huson Longstreet and USC?
Yeah, I mean, they are covering their butt. You know, they're not going to be left. You know, last year I think USC was kind of in a situation where they didn't prepare. Maybe for some issues, and I think this year they're just making sure that there's a plan B and a
Hmm.
really really good one. I think last year I think if they may have continued pursuing a couple of guys, they may have been able to get. They came in really really late for DJ Lagway. I do think if they would have continued to pursue him, they may have had actually a shot there. But in this case, I think with Husan, he did show up for a spring practice, a 5 a.m. spring practice, I might add. Which means he has to get up yesterday to make it to one of those where he's from. I mean, he's only an hour and a half away, but he's a guy. I do think if something does happen with Julian Lewis, he's definitely the guy. So I think they've continued to communicate on some levels.
All right. I teased it at the beginning. We're going to talk about who could be the next recruit to commit to USC. I'm looking at Carday Smith. He's going to make his decision on Monday, right here on the On3 Recruits channel. Now, originally, he committed to Auburn back on April 10. He decommitted in June. What's the word on Carday Smith and USC? Could he be the next to commit?
Yeah, we submitted a prediction for him I think the day he left USC on his official visit, and so I think that things are looking really really good right now for USC. It's like I'm always kind of hesitant to even say that nowadays. Thinking that something's going to happen 5 minutes after we're done here, but yeah, I'm expecting something good to happen for USC tomorrow.
Hmm. All right, so that brings me to Utah big man Aaron Dunn. Now, if Carday Smith jumps on board, Aaron Dunn, could he be the next? I mean, he's trending heavily to USC. When do you think he's going to decide? Young man out of Utah.
I think he's got an August 8th announcement
Oh,
date
so
with,
coming
with
up real
another
soon.
network. So he could be, he could have back-to-back commitments for USC from two really really highly ranked offensive linemen, which is something that they really need. They need offensive linemen and defensive linemen. So right now I haven't put any prediction in for him. That might happen later today. I do think that USC's in a good spot based off the feedback I've gotten from sources. So like couple of top 250 guys would be nice hauls for USC right now heading into the 2024 season.
Yeah, and a couple massive offensive linemen could go a long way in helping contain Julian Lewis on that commit list. So talk to us, USC fans. How do we feel about one, Julian Lewis, but also who do you guys think could be the next to commit to USC? Let us know. Comment section below. Scott Schrader with We Are SC. It's going to be a busy week on the site. Thanks for dropping by the Inside Scoop.
Thanks, Josh.
Hugh Freeze is cooking on the recruiting trail, and there's rumors that more could be on the way. Just yesterday, the Tigers landed yet another top prospect on Saturday. That was when top 50 edge Jared Smith gave his pledge to Auburn. He did it right here on the On3 Recruits channel. But there's even bigger rumors swirling about maybe a potential flip at the quarterback position. I got Jeffrey Lee from Auburn Live here, and we're going to break it all down. But first, Auburn fans, make sure you guys are locked in. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruit channel, the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. All right, let's bring on Jeffrey Lee. And finally, we get to talk about it on this show, the Inside Scoop. We haven't hit on this, even though if Auburn fans have been listening, you've been alluding to this in the last two videos that we've done. Those are the Deuce Knight flip rumors. Notre Dame quarterback commitment, Deuce Knight. I don't know what's happening. There's a lot of buzz around him. So, Jeff, what are you hearing about Deuce Knight and Auburn right now?
Certainly trending well for Auburn. And this is coming after last weekend's Big Cat weekend, which by now everybody knows he was not at the Big Cat event, but he did make it into town that evening, spent the night and spent a lot of time with some of the Auburn commitments who were at Big Cat earlier in the day. And I think, Josh, the thing that says more to Auburn's chances with Deuce was that his parents were able to come to Big Cat. So they were there Saturday morning, went through all the festivities with the coaches, got to spend the day in Auburn, got to familiarize themselves with Auburn, more with the coaching staff, something they hadn't been able to do. And then Deuce came in, Saturday evening, and, Alvin Henderson, Eric Winters, these guys who were committed were there, who are already friends with Deuce. They were able to spend time with him, help recruit him, and certainly seems to be a lot of optimism a week later.
So as we sit here on Sunday, we're taping this, Deuce Knight has not come out. He hasn't said anything. Our own Steve Wiltfong has written a report on Friday that the heat is turning up with the flip. But what are you hearing in terms of a timeline? Like, is this imminent? Is it something that we got to watch heading into the fall? What's going on here?
I think it's imminent. I really do. I expect to know something one way or the other sooner than later. I think within the next week, Josh, to be honest with you. And I think not so much from Deuce's side. I know from Auburn's perspective, from their side, they want to get their quarterback recruiting done. They want to get a quarterback in this class so they can move forward with their season. They want to be done with this before heading into the fall. So I expect something to happen sooner than later. All signs point to, Deuce heavily considering a flip to Auburn. I know Ole Miss is in this as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
But I really like Auburn here. I think if anybody has the best chance to flip him from Notre Dame, it's Auburn for several reasons. Deuce Knight was one of the first 2025 quarterbacks name that I heard a year ago. Philip Montgomery, when he was here at offensive coordinator, very high on Deuce Knight. Hugh Freeze has always been high on Deuce Knight. And talking to Alvin Henderson, he was talking about him. And I actually went back and read a story from last summer where it was Alvin talking about his friendship with Deuce and how they wanted to commit to the same school and they wanted to go to the same college. And Alvin came back and reminded us all of that, last week in an interview. So I think there's a lot of things working in Auburn's favor. I think the timeline is going to be sooner than later. We'll know one way or the other with Deuce Knight.
Well, I think Auburn fans agree with Alvin Henderson that, they would like to see them two be teammates on the next level. Let's put Deuce Knight aside for a second. You guys had a great article on Auburn Live about who could be the next commitment. So I got a graphic here. We're looking at linebacker Tyler Lockhart, wide receiver Sam Turner, running back Usman Kroma, and offensive tackle Andrew Babalola.
Sure.
So, Jeff, who do you think could be the next to commit to Auburn?
I think it's going to come from one of the first two names. I like Auburn's chances again with Tyler Lockhart. We've talked about on this show, Josh, these kids committing, and then, it used to be you were done with them if they decommitted from your school. But we've seen Hollis Davison recommit to Auburn. We've seen Antonio Coleman recommit to Auburn or commit to Auburn twice now. Tyler Lockhart decommitted after an official visit to state back in the summer, and now he came to Big Cat. And I think there seems to be a lot of momentum with Auburn again with Tyler Lockhart. Again, I think that's something that could happen sooner than later. Sam Turner was at Big Cat, committed to Georgia Tech. He has been for a few weeks now, but Auburn's really pushing hard. I feel like Auburn's got the momentum with him, trending certainly in the right direction. I think a flip could be imminent with him. And then playing kind of – I think Auburn's got a better chance with those two than they do with, say, Usman Kroma and Andrew Babalola. I think Auburn absolutely is in it for both of those kids. I really do. I think it's Auburn, Florida State for Kroma. And I'd probably give the slight edge to Florida State right now. But, man, I'm not counting Auburn out for Kroma. I'm really not. They have prioritized him. They want him to be that second back to pair with Alvin Henderson in this class. Derek Nix has been all over this kid. Hugh Freeze has been all over this kid. And then Andrew Babalola. And I know the national buzz, on a lot of the buzz, and maybe rightfully so, has been Michigan, has been Stanford. But, man, do not count Auburn out of this. They have built relationships from Hugh Freeze to Jake Thornton, even down to the offensive line assistants. There's a lot of things working in Auburn's favor with Andrew Babalola. I don't think they're the team to beat. I don't feel like they're right there. Maybe so with Sam Turner and Tyler Lockhart. I would put them maybe in the Usman Kroma category where, they're peeking over that fence, trying to get in that yard, and the door's kind of, slightly opening. So I think those two guys are certainly guys that Auburn fans need to keep an eye on. Don't count yourselves out for either one of those two guys, and then maybe feel pretty decent about Tyler Lockhart and Sam Turner both.
All right, Auburn fans, things are heating up on the Plains. Talk to us, comment section below. Who do you think will be the next Auburn commitment? Could it be Deuce Knight or Tyler Lockhart, Sam Turner, Kroma, or Babalola? Tap in with us. Let us know. Comment section below. Jeffrey Lee from Auburn Live. Thank you. It's a busy weekend out on the Plains. Thanks for joining the Inside Scoop today.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks for having me.
When it comes to pure high school quarterback recruiting, there isn't a program doing it better over these last 4 cycles than Tennessee. 5-star Nico Imaliava, 4-star Jake Merklinger, 4-star George McIntyre. And Saturday, the Vols head on another top target, This time it's On3's number 1 ranked passer in the 2026 cycle, Faison Brandon. Tennessee lands their QB. He's also the first pledge towards that 2026 class. And in this video, I got Austin Price. We're going to figure out how Tennessee was able to pull this off and what their biggest need is now in 2026. But first, Tennessee fans, jump on board. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruit channel, the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. Tennessee fans, we love talking Vols recruiting. Jump on board. Hit subscribe. All right, let's bring on Austin Price from VolQuest for more. Now, Faison Brandon, 6'4", 200. Tennessee was able to land him over Alabama, LSU, and Penn State. What was it that put Tennessee over the top? And when did you know the pick was going to be for the Vols?
It's been a few weeks. But I think that for Tennessee, they were the team that was always there. He visited here for camp a year ago. Tennessee offered. He subsequently came back again for another camp, then was here for a handful of games last fall, and then has been here numerous times since the first of the year. So he's just been here more than any other school. So Tennessee just made a ton of sense. Joey Halsley, Tennessee's offensive coordinator, did a fantastic job with him. Obviously, Josh Heupel gets a lot of the credit. But what Halsley's done with this quarterback room has been really, really impressive. He jives with the players. Joey's an old quarterback. Of course, Josh is too. I think that helps. When you have two former quarterbacks that are leading the way as your OC and head coach, if you're a quarterback, it just resonates, especially when the head coach was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy and led his team to a national title. So I think that ultimately just the relationships won out here for Faison Brandon. His mom came off the elevator last Sunday, and she goes, "Austin, we are home." And she subsequently went on to tell me that she's known since the first time they stepped foot on Tennessee's campus that Tennessee was special. And she felt like that might be the spot for them. And the more they took visits this cycle, when they went to Alabama, when they went to LSU, when they went to Florida State, and so on and so forth, the more it resonated that Tennessee's where they want to be.
Yeah, you could kind of feel this one coming. And I agree with you. I think, yes, relationships, but there's also that trust in Josh Heupel and his ability to develop that's got these guys just waiting for their chance to take their turn. So we'll see what happens. First commit in the class for Tennessee. Do you think that they need another quarterback? Will they take another quarterback in this class, or is it just too early to tell?
I don't think they will. Obviously they've kind of been taking one a cycle, and I think if in a perfect world, if they could find an older veteran in the transfer portal, you'd love to do it, but I don't think you have to now. I think Tennessee's, after they get past this year, Josh, you're going to have Merklinger with experience. You're going to have George McIntyre walking in as a true freshman. In previous, in the last couple of years, it was inexperienced Nico and a former walk-on in Gaston Moore backing up Joe Milton. This year, it's inexperienced Merklinger, walk-on Gaston Moore backing up an inexperienced Nico Iamaleava. So, once you get past this year, I don't think you have to take anybody from the portal. Could they? Sure, but I don't think they will. And ultimately, I'm not sure they'll take another quarterback in this class because I just don't think it makes sense.
All right. Speaking of 2026, just in general terms, what's the biggest need for Tennessee, or what's the position group maybe that they really need to hit hard in that cycle?
I think running back would be good. Tennessee likes where they are with their younger backs, but I think you'd like to add another really solid piece at running back. I think Tennessee continued to recruit the interior of the defensive line. An offensive lineman like Leo Delaney, who plays there at Providence Day, over in Charlotte. And then I think receiver, Tyreek King, Knoxville native, who is really, really highly thought of out there in recruiting circles, makes a ton of sense. And then linebacker. So I know I named about 4 positions, but I mean, every cycle you're going to need a handful of positions where you got to recruit pretty well. Tennessee's done a really nice job at offensive tackle. So I don't think they have to have some crazy amount of tackles next year's class. But I mean, again, if you can if Tennessee's able to land David Sanders at the end of the month and you can stay hot in the state of North Carolina, you've already got Faison Brandon. Can they get Kendra Harrison, who's now there at Providence Day? Can they get Leo Delaney, who's at Providence Day? Tennessee's recruiting the state of North Carolina really, really hard.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure Tennessee fans are all penciling in David Sanders to this class. So obviously offensive tackle, not a huge need in 2026 because they're going to get it done in 2025, I'm sure. We'll just have to wait a couple more weeks to see, but it's trending that way. We'll see. All right. Since we're talking quarterbacks, last year at this time, we were still covering Jake Merklinger, but now he is on campus. What's the word? He was an early enrollee. How's he looking so far?
Yeah, he's progressing nicely. Again, I think it does help that you have Nico in front of him, and you have a former walk-on who is better than your normal average walk-on. Gaston Moore could run this offense seamlessly if they needed him to. Now, does Tennessee really want that to happen? No. They want Nico to stay upright, healthy, and be winning a lot of football games for him this fall. But Jake has continued to progress. I don't think Tennessee's ready for him to take the reins and be the quarterback right now, and I'm not sure he's ready for that either. But he continues to show flashes in practice, which is a really good sign for him long term.
That's a really good sign for Tennessee fans of what's taking place in this QB room. So talk to us, comment section below. How do we feel about the quarterback room? And Faison Brandon, the big commit over the weekend. Tennessee fans, tap in. Let us know. Austin Price with VolQuest. You guys are having a heck of a weekend over there. Go check out the site, and appreciate you for dropping by the Inside Scoop.
Appreciate you, Josh.
And the Ducks are hot again on the recruiting trail. Since July 4th, there was a little lull for Oregon recruiting, but boy, did they bring it back this weekend. We're going to talk all about it. I got Justin Hopkins from Scoop Duck. Now, there's two major commitments that went down. Quarterback Jonas Williams from the 2026 class, and of course, 5-star safety Trey McNutt. They both made their decision on Saturday. We're going to go behind the scenes of this one and figure out how the Ducks were able to pull it off, and also what's next for Oregon recruiting. But first, you guys hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We love talking Oregon recruiting. We're going to keep doing it. So jump on board and hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on Justin Hopkins from Scoop Duck. Now, Oregon, well, we're going to talk about Trey McNutt here in a second. We got to talk quarterback first. Oregon locked down their 2026 quarterback. He's number 9 overall, Jonas Williams. He's out of the state of Illinois, and we got him ranked a little bit higher. Charles Power here at On3 has him ranked as the 7th best quarterback in the country. So, Justin, why Jonas Williams this weekend, and what does he mean for the Oregon program?
Well, obviously, it's really big to get your quarterback committed anytime, but getting them committed early is a big win for your staff and for recruiting, because you can put them out there on the road recruiting. And with Williams coming off the board to Oregon and Faison committing to Tennessee like moments after, there's only one 2026 quarterback in the top 10 that's currently not committed anywhere. So obviously those dominoes were dropping early this year. Big for Oregon to be able to get in on one of those guys. And they've done a really good job since Will Stein showed up. Of course, they've got Dylan Gabriel that transferred in and Dante Moore. But now you're able to build some prep depth behind them. They've got Akili Smith Jr. committed, and now with Jonas Williams committed, hopefully you can get that one prep quarterback in every class and kind of build your depth and start developing those guys and maybe not relying on the transfer portal every year. So, Williams going to be big for that. It's a great looking quarterback room today as it sits with these two guys coming in their respective years. It continues that kind of depth that you want to see, 4 to 5 guys. And, Dan Lanning's really not been quiet about the fact that he would like to break into the Midwest a little bit more, the Missouri, Illinois area, and recruit them a little bit harder. So kind of a win for him to be able to recruit that area a little bit harder as well.
Yeah, sure. Why not? And in this day and age of college football, I mean, you don't take one quarterback and say, I'm good. Look at what Georgia's doing. Look at Josh Heupel. Look at Ohio State. I mean, they stack arms one on top of another, and that's just what Dan Lanning's doing. So speaking of, before we get to Trey McNutt, Jonas Williams, do you think he'll be the last quarterback that Oregon takes in this 2026 cycle? I know it's still early, but is he going to be the only guy that they try to get?
Yeah, great question, because it's kind of tricky, right? And like you said, there's no position that's more important in college football or in a game of football, really, than quarterback. So you want to stack those guys up. Mm-hmm. I believe Oregon will continue to recruit Ryder Lyons at an elite level. I believe he's the number 2 quarterback in the rankings, one of the best arms out there. What makes that unique is that Lyons is expected to take a mission out of high school. So whether that's a 1 or a 2-year mission, which I'm going to assume the family will figure out along the way, he's really not a 2026 quarterback. You're looking at more of a 27 or a 28 potentially. So Oregon will continue to recruit him. He could end up being a Duck. I think the Ducks and USC are kind of the 2 teams to beat right now. So he might show up on the commit list potentially as a 2026 quarterback, but he doesn't really count that way. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I don't think Oregon's done, and that's kind of the way they're going to continue moving with the Jonas Williams commitment.
All right. So on Saturday, Trey McNutt, 5-star safety, number 2 safety in America, committed to Oregon right here on the On3 Recruits channel. That's why you guys got to be subscribed. Trey McNutt, we had a couple weeks ago, of course, CrowdStrike on an innocent Friday makes a systems update. The whole world comes to a screeching halt. Trey McNutt's family can't get to Shaker Heights, Ohio for his commitment. So Trey McNutt delays his decision. Just what Oregon fans did not want to hear coming off the heels of the DJ Pickett going to LSU. It seemed like, oh, are we going to lose Trey McNutt? But, you know, he had 2 extra weeks to think about it, and he's still an Oregon Duck. At what point of this recruitment did you know that it was going in the Ducks' direction?
It certainly felt like Oregon was trending, or even possibly the slight favorite heading into his official visit. But coming out of the official visit, it's kind of where it's like, yeah, this is looking really good for Oregon. And really almost the whole way leading up to his commitment, you know, myself, Steve Wiltfong, Chad Simmons, and others, you know, all felt like, hey, this is Oregon's to lose. Oregon's the team to beat. It was near unanimous, which can be dangerous at times, but that was the feeling. And then, like you said, that Friday happens, you know, on the heels of the DJ Pickett to LSU shocker, if you will. And Oregon fans are nervous, and I don't blame them. But you know, that truly was why he didn't commit 2 weeks ago, and why instead here we are 2 weeks later committing to Oregon. Same result, a little bit delayed. You know, threw in that Texas A&M visit in between, which was kind of a wrinkle. Yeah. But really just, you know, none of us seemed to waver, and everybody seemed to be consistent that this was Oregon's to lose. And obviously that turned out to be correct on Saturday.
What a big win for Oregon, landing 5-star, the number 2 safety in America, and Oregon might not be done. Ducks fans, talk to us. Let us know. Comment section below. Is Jonah Williams next? Not Jonas Williams. Don't confuse him with the quarterback. I'm talking the 5-star safety out of Texas. That would be another huge addition. Let me and J-Hop know. Let us know. Comment section below. Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.